What I Wish I Knew. That's the name of the book. Josh Powell, as the author, two-time champion with the Los Angeles Lakers, joins me. What's going on, brother?
Ain't nothing, man. Since you went on ahead and started with that, I had to make sure I went on ahead and grab that thing. So go ahead and throw that thing on up, man. But I'm blessed, brother, and it's always good to see my brother.
Of
Always.
course. Listen, man. We bump into each other on the road. This relationship started when we were on lockdown on social media.
Yeah. Yeah.
2020.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ran into you in the hallways of State Farm Arena in Atlanta. And then ran into you in passing in Vegas. A lot has transpired since probably the last couple of times we sat down and talked, but nonetheless, the vibe is still the same.
Absolutely. Absolutely, brother.
Tell me about the book.
Man, where do I start? First and foremost, just going through this process. I'm a reader. I've turned into a reader, and was pushed to do a book. So it wasn't like I woke up one day and was like, "Oh yeah, I'm passionate. Let me just go ahead and do my story." Um, it was one of those things where multiple people was like, "Oh, you should write a book. You should write a book." And I was like, "Okay, I just don't know what I'm gonna do, where I'm gonna go with it." But the minute I started the journey, man, it was actually refreshing, and the words and where I was going actually just came out naturally. You know what I mean? So what I wish I knew is a story about relationships, love, and lust, and basically just going through the trials and tribulations, man. And there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of trauma, there's a lot of brokenness, but on the other side of it, there's definitely the healing part and expressing the journey, talking everybody through what that looks like. So super, super passionate, man. I know, an athlete. What's he gonna say about what's he gonna say about relationships? But yeah, I'm excited to share, man.
And people can find that on all platforms, whether you're old school, you want to go to Barnes and Noble, whether you want to listen to it digitally on the highways, the byways, the train, and more. He's giving you the alley oop in the school. What can people expect from this book?
Great question. So I think you can expect something that you can relate to. I think you'll be shocked some of the things that I've expressed in this book. But I feel it'll spark a much needed conversation within households, within communities. And I made sure I was very intentional with the structure of the book, the length of the book, the information that's in the book. But all in all, just your healing journey.
Josh, you said something to me and a little while ago, and it really piqued my interest. You said that you turned into a reader. You weren't a reader. However, you won 2 championships as a member of the Los Angeles Lakers with Phil Jackson as your head coach.
Right.
Frank question. How often did guys BS on that team with not actually reading the books that Phil assigned?
I want to say out of 15, I'm sure we at least had about 6 or 7 that read, and the other 6 or 7 that probably put it to the side.
Okay.
I know for me, I definitely read the books that he gave, because there was always something like really intriguing about Phil. I had been able to play with different coaches, but you hear what you hear about him, and then finally being able to be underneath the same organization and just watching how he moves, very strategic in everything that he does, right, wrong, or indifferent. But I mean, he is one of the greatest to do it, rightfully so. In the way that he was able to orchestrate, everybody on that team to be able to be the best version of themselves. Just all the different ways that he would poke bears, and and get what he needed to get out of you. So just really grateful for him, and as I think about it, he was probably the only coach to pass out books from time to time and come through and sage locker rooms and sage film rooms like that. But I really appreciate, Phil.
And it's interesting now because I remember when Kyrie saged before a game, and people made such a big thing about it because he did publicly what Phil did in the locker room. You looked at the locker room as the private space, but Kyrie saged the arena because there was a lot of people that didn't necessarily care for him, and vice versa.
Right.
You made mention of something that I want to delve in a little bit more when you talk about poking the bear, because you saw Shaq do it, where he used people as motivation. You see it from the player side. Can you speak more about how Phil motivated and poked bears in locker rooms?
One of the things that come to mind, I remember, I think he publicly said something about Ron in the media. Like, he didn't go to Ron about it. He publicly said something, and Ron was like, "Bro, you could have came to me. Like, you costing me money." But it was crazy because it was like after that, Ron was solid throughout the year. Don't get me wrong. That's my brother, man. He is one of the best people and players that I've had a chance to play with. But coming in and learning that triangle, like it takes time. You know what I mean? And for him to, it's like he kicked it in gear, because right around that time when that went down, we were towards the latter part of the season. So, playoffs is right around the corner. And he basically, like, it was just like him getting into like playoff shape early, with everything that transpired in Atlanta at that. You know what I mean? Like, I'll never forget the incident that happened. But Phil just being Phil, it's just things that he would do. He could pull you to the side and say it. He can go in the media and say it and be petty. He could do it in front of everybody in the locker room. Like, he just had different ways that he went about doing it. But all in all, it caused a reaction within everybody. And then if a player really couldn't understand it, you always had Kobe or D Fish to be the people that come behind it and say, "Look, this is why he did that. Or, this is what's going on. This is what he's thinking," or whatever. So it was great, man. Phil is truly amazing as a coach, at least from my perspective.
Oh, of course, no, and there's a lot of mixed opinions, but you don't become great and win multiple championships with just being ordinary and necessarily like everybody else. But
Right.
yeah, so I get it. For me, when I look at your career and I look at the Lakers and their success, you won 2 championships, but the story of 2009, when you played the Orlando Magic, was very different the following year. What do you recall about the 2009 NBA Finals going up against Orlando?
Just from the beginning when I got there, like, that loss that they took to the Celtics, and there was like a hunger. There was an energy in the building, and those guys, were just extremely thirsty to want to get back. So the way that we prepared, the way that we practiced, the way that we watched film, the way that we lifted weights, the way that we went through shooting drills, just preparation all together was just at a high level. And that was every guy, whether they showed up early or stayed late. Everybody has their routine, but we were all locked in. And it was truly amazing to be a part of. And when it came time to face, Orlando in the finals, we understood, like, we were the better team. All respect to Orlando and what they had done. Obviously they upset Cleveland, but it was like they were the better team. I mean, they dominated, in their run in the East, and but we knew that, we had a game plan. We've been playing really well. We went through some tough battles. And we were just mentally ready. We were mentally ready, emotionally ready, and physically ready.
Paul Pierce, seen in 2010, him being from Inglewood, going against Kobe and the Lakers that year.
Let me tell you, man, the Celtics, that team they had, I mean, that was a grind, to go 7 games and the back and forth, for us, having to come back from 3-2, like literally win or go home. And the way Paul Pierce played, the way Ray Allen played, the way KG was, I mean, that whole squad, Rondo, like those guys were just locked in, and it showed. There was no secret as to why they won it 2 years prior, but then also for them to get back. And then it was like the whispers throughout the whole year because we were the better team in the West and they were the better team in the East. So it was kind of gearing up for that rematch, that long-awaited rematch. So go figure, like we'd be able to play them 2 years later after what they did to the team before I got there, and then for us to be able to get some get back, that was big.
You were teammates with Andrew Bynum on that Lakers team, correct? While you were there,
Absolutely.
what was it about Andrew Bynum? Was it people often talk about the fact that some look at he was replacing Shaq at center. Obviously, you don't replace Shaq at center,
You
but
don't.
at the same time,
Top 5 Lakers center of all time.
Of course, but is it that he was young? Was it that he wasn't interested in basketball? Was it that basketball wasn't necessarily like what was it? It just seemed like he was not always interested in playing basketball.
It might have seemed like that. I think that other factors have something to do with maybe people's perception of him. And I mean, you got to think, right? My numbers could be slightly off. Please don't nobody kill me for this, but he went before he tore his meniscus?
Mm-hmm.
He was on a stretch for like 6-7 weeks, I think, in limited time, because I don't think he was even getting 30 minutes a game. But that man was averaging, I want to say, at least between 22 and 25 points a game and like 13 rebounds. Remember the game that he had 42 on the Clippers?
I
41
do.
or 42, his career high? It was like ever since that game, something clicked. And he just went on a tear. I mean, Andrew was always talented. He was a big body. He had great footwork, great hands. And he's super young, but he had so much. He had a good feel for the game on the defensive end. He had a big presence. Like he can guard. He's going to block shots. He's going to alter shots. Like there's so many things he was doing on both ends. But when he was healthy and when he was locked in, it didn't matter what people want to say. Whether he looked like he liked the game or didn't, that man was dominant. He was dominant. And then it was like between him and Powell as at the big spots, like it was just unreal. It was unreal. You know what I'm saying? So, whether he has the passion or not, that man could play the game of basketball. And I'm sure we can name a lot of other people. We can even name some superstars that we're like, well, I don't think he liked the game like that. But then come to find out, this person is a top 40 NBA player of all time. Like,
Sure.
for somebody that doesn't like the game that much. So, I don't get caught up in all that, man. Drew was great for us. He's also a great person off the court. Like he was somebody that I hung around and we clicked. And just had a chance to really see him. A lot of people didn't really get that opportunity, so I'm thankful for it.
Pau Gasol to me, in a lot of respects, was ahead of his time. But you saw different versions of him when he played for the Grizzlies. He was this freak of nature, but he was, in my mind, he was playing a lot of at times at different points while he was there, meaningless minutes in basketball. Because they weren't a championship contender like the Lakers was when he was traded there. When you look at Pau Gasol and you look at his run with the Lakers, my question to you is there anybody past or present in the NBA that reminds you of Pau Gasol?
Past or present? Jeez. I mean, Powell had footwork, great touch, smart. Like his IQ level was very high. How could get it done? Got it done on both ends. Past or present, man? That's a great question. If I was gonna go with somebody, because I mean, so much stuff he had in his bag. Maybe a little Admiral. Maybe you know, a little Timmy with a hint of the dream. This is like it's not nothing he can't do. Like he can handle, he can pass. His block work is crazy. He got the midi. He can shoot the three. Like so from that standpoint, it's just he's able to do so many different things. And then from a present standpoint, I don't know why. And you tell me how you feel, but I'm gonna go with LaMarcus Aldridge.
I can see that. And it's interesting because when you talk about that, right? So you talk about Dream, well, minus the Dream, but Admiral, meaning David Robinson, you talk about Duncan, you talk about LaMarcus, they all are Spurs tied somewhere. And then Powell ended up playing for the Spurs.
Yeah.
We know Powell was a Laker more than we do a Grizzly or a Spur, but there's just something about his game that's just solid, and it crosses over, which leads me to this question. How would Pau Gasol fare in today's NBA?
When you look at systematic, the system, like not saying Powell can play in any system, first of all, respectfully. He's one of the greatest to do it. So I'm not trying to say that. But this game is so different because you don't have a lot of posting. So you have guys that are really hanging out on the perimeter a lot more. And even though Powell would drift out there from time to time, like you got to feed him mid-post or you got to feed him on that block. Like you got to. And I'm just trying to think of a team where somebody's getting it in other than like Sacramento.
Utah.
Big fella for them. Utah, potentially. Oh, well, what Minnesota's doing with K-Towns, and that might be a decent fit. Man, you asking some good questions, bro. Because for me, before I spit out something, there's so many things that I'm thinking about too. Like I study the game, like I love the game, and it's like I still play with these guys today. So that's the other thing that I'm factoring in too. Like it's a different game. By the time Powell would have got down the court, the shot would have went up. So it's like it's a different game.
The Warriors changed the game, but I feel like in between the Warriors changing the game, you saw the bubble, and you saw Jimmy's mid-range and DeMar DeRozan's mid-range.
Absolutely.
Be that tweener.
Yeah.
But you said KD, right? Today's game, to me, has shifted to 7-3 small forwards. So you got KD, who took a little, in my opinion, KD was the derivative of George Gervin and Tracy McGrady. And then KD was there. Then you got guys like Giannis, Kristaps Porzingis, Bol, and Wembanyama. Like, that's the game now.
Yep.
Prior to the Warriors, you had point forwards. You had the Scottie Pippins, Jamal Mashburns, and LeBron Jameses.
Yep. These are great questions because the other thing, too, is, to your point, Powell is a good ball handler, but those guys are like elite going into their package. Like, I don't see Powell doing what Wemby's doing.
No.
Like really mixing somebody up on the perimeter, like going crazy.
But you know, it's interesting, right? Because I feel like Rasheed Wallace was ahead of his time, right? But
absolutely.
But because
I was gonna say him too, though. I was gonna say low key say him too, like low key. But yeah, she was that guy.
But he was a unicorn because he was a face up, back down power forward. He was both. Most of these guys today are power forwards with small forward dribble. So like Pau Gasol had a little something, but today's power forward has to have the whole thing. So like that's where the Anthony Davises and the Bam Adebayos fit.
Yep, I agree. You know who might in today's game, because even the Lakers system is different. I don't think that would be like for Powell. I feel like the Celtics, and the reason why I say that is because of them horses they got on the wing. You got to have somebody like Powell to be able to mix that thing up to give y'all a little something different. And then they got Drew, which is a true point. So it ain't like they won't go through, bro, because they post them other two. They don't have a problem posting. And I'll even go as far as to say this: put Powell in Houston's system with my dog, because he's coaching now.
Amen.
And he's different. And I know he'll have Powell down there working.
Who is the modern day Rajon Rondo?
I don't know why, but Tyrese, maybe.
I was thinking it. I was waiting for you to say
without the three ball, but he could still hit the three. But I would, because he, like, bro, will get you 30, but it's like he's still gonna get you 10 to 12 assists. Like, he gets people open. Like the way he plays the game, I really am a fan. It's like he plays the game the right way. He really does. I can appreciate that. Like being a general. You know who else manipulates the game like that? But he does it like he scores like a mug though. But Luka, because Luka can pass. It ain't like he can't get people open.
Oh yeah.
But Luka has to get 30 or 40. So that's a great question. Who did you have other than Tyrese? Or was it just Tyrese? Because everybody else is like.
So to me, right, when Rondo was on Boston, and specifically when Rondo was in Sacramento and when Rondo was in Dallas briefly, you used to hear a lot of Jason Kidd comparisons because of playmaking ability, but like his hand size. He was like Kidd with Rodman hands. But like, to answer your question, when I asked you the question, in my mind, Tyrese Halliburton was it by default. I think that's a question 10 years from now that could be better answered, because I don't think there is another Rondo just yet.
I totally agree with you 100%. Because the way he being a floor general and he does it on both ends. Like he's a exceptional defender on the other end. So to your point, I don't think we may, see one unless Davion Mitchell turns, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Which I don't know. I haven't had too much of a chance to watch this year. I know he was getting a lot of praise last year. I haven't really heard too much this year, but I mean because you got to pick somebody who straps like that. And would he be able to control a game? That's the thing. So it's like, to your point, that's tough.
Like, to me, there's parts of, and for context purposes, I'm not saying he's like them. I'm saying there's flashes of.
Right.
To create a Rondo, there's flashes of Harden. There's flashes of Tyrese Maxey. There's flashes of Halliburton. Like, there's flashes of Kyrie. To me, Rondo's game is the epitome of just a buffet. There's flashes to me at times of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Speaking of, bro, he's nasty, bro.
Yeah, he is.
Goodness.
He's young, and I think the cool thing about Shai is that he's in Oklahoma, with a bunch of other young guys, and he's doing his own thing, and he's not trying to ring chase. He's enjoying the moment and just being himself. He's in the perfect spot because I feel like the fashion, the uniqueness, that's Russell 2.0 in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
But the game, that speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Your Lakers teammate, Kobe Bryant, will have his statue ceremony next year. How fitting in 24. His number's 24. Two-part question. First question is, how cool is it to see that be a thing?
I don't know if I had the right answer, because when you watch, first of all, I think it's beautiful to watch guys you've played with or against receive their flowers. I think that that's really an awesome thing. Obviously, at the level he did it, you're talking about he got 2 numbers retired, about to have a statue in front of the building. Like, the murals globally, it ain't even around LA. Like, you'll go in any city and see, people pay love and respect to him or his daughter, or them both. I think it's amazing, man. It's kind of, when you get in the room, you get over, it's the overflow of emotion, and everything that you think about. I remember when I went to the funeral, and I went with Kenyon Martin, and we were literally, I'd have to go get my ticket, but it was like the numbers were like 2 and 24 and something else and 4 or something like that. It was so crazy, bro. And I was like, yo, I swear it's like bro's talking to me. And, just the, like, I just put my head down, man, and I was just filled with emotion. And I know that's not what you asked, but it's just a free thought that just came to mind, because I mean, it's really it's just a heavy thing to think about, especially because for me, like, I relive that moment every year, because my birthday is on the 25th, and then his passing was on the 26th. So I'm really happy for him. I'm happy for his family. I think it's beautiful to see Vanessa really try to the best of her ability to carry out his legacy, for his sake, for the family's sake, for her daughter's sake, you know what I mean? And then the strength in that woman to do what she's doing, to strengthen those other kids that are still living, It's got to be tough, bro. You know what I'm saying? I know it's not easy, because every time you turn around, if it ain't the passing, it's his birthday. If it ain't his birthday, it's his actual Kobe day. If it ain't that, the basketball season's rolling around. If it ain't that, it's something else. If it ain't that, it's Hardwood Classics. If it ain't, like, it's just, I couldn't imagine how she feels, because it's like you'll never get a break. Like, you married arguably either the best player to play the game of basketball or one of the best players to play the game of basketball. So, it's a lot. And then going back to my brother, salute to Powell, for example. It's a lot of people that are there for them, but his love and connection with that family, and just standing up to be a good uncle or godfather, or whatever his position is, like, salute to him for everything that he's doing.
That's real. Follow up to that. Kobe gets a statue. I asked Shaq this question earlier this year, if he felt as though LeBron was deserving of a statue later on, at a later point. Obviously, he'll have his jersey retired once he retires. But do you look at that retirement, or rather a player or star that was a Laker having a statue, more for original Lakers? Because Shaq has a statue. He wasn't an original Laker, but he's known as a Laker. Somebody like LeBron, later on career-wise, get one.
LeBron brought a chip to the city, and he did it when the situation happened.
Mm-hmm.
If that ain't telling you he ain't a bad man, I don't know what else is. He
So you believe
understood
he's deserving?
He understood the assignment, bro.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like when Russell went for 20, 20, and 20 and then represented for Nip and the whole culture. Like, come on, man. You a bad boy when you could just make something shake. Like, nah, I got this. Like, we're gonna do this for Bean. Ain't no ands, ifs, or buts. We're doing this. And the other thing that I hate is like people try to disrespect the ring because they're like, oh, it was in the bubble and this, that, and the third. But it's like, listen, man. First of all, let's not act like we didn't see some of the best basketball we've ever seen in years because guys didn't go out, they weren't drinking, they weren't smoking, they weren't doing all the other stuff that they could have been doing, and they were just focused on the game of basketball in an empty gym.
In Disney.
You can't disrespect that at all. Because if somebody else would have won it, y'all would have been cool with it. But it's the fact that like they took care of business. You know what I'm saying? At a time where it was difficult. Like there's nothing easy. I wish all of these people could be removed from their families for about a month or two. Some people couldn't even see their families. You know what I'm saying? Like have to go through quarantine at least a couple of weeks before even like getting on the court, just to make sure ain't nobody had no cases.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's like the unknown during a scary time. So, man, hats off to them because I know that wasn't easy. You know, and everybody, the unfortunate part of him is like everybody always tries to find a way to disrespect the rings that he got. You know, the same with KD or it's just certain people where they just try to find, you know, whatever the reason is.
What I wish I knew, the man of the hour. Make sure you guys check that out on all platforms. Amazon is one of them. Where else can people check out everything that you have going on with the book?
And Barnes and Noble, Amazon. We also on relationshipsmatterlive.com. Continuing to put everything out there. So got the audio that'll be dropping soon. The ebooks that'll be dropping soon. So we're just continuing to grow this thing, man. It's actually been overwhelming. I've had some schools, I've had some universities reach out because they want me to come. Like they want to get everybody the book. They want to come and just, you know, let me do an open discussion with the students and things like that. Just opening up that dialogue. You know, there's a lot in the book that a lot of people go through, like I said, and I'm just really humbled, you know, at the opportunity to share.
And you've been talking to teams too with your book. You haven't just been speaking on the book side. You've been kind of talking to the younger generation just about your journey and more. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, it's been really cool, you know, having some of the people reach out. I know I went to OTE a week and a half ago, I believe it was, and just having a chance to pour into the youth. And, you know, obviously they got a lot of up and coming guys that are promising, you know, to be next up. And just really humbled at the opportunity to pay it forward because, you know, it's needed. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're in a position, I feel like, with my experiences, with the players that I've played with the coaches that I've been coached by, that's a wealth of knowledge. I put my top 12 up against anybody. I feel like I'll come out on top because of the guys that I played with or the coaches. So I just think it's a beautiful thing, you know, and then I'm also learning from them too. You know, I think, you know, that's the part that I enjoy the most is just being able to have that dialogue and to be a servant, to be somebody that's here to help in a time of need.
Well, I'm glad to know you, brother. Make sure you all check it out. I need my signed copy, sir.
Absolutely. Absolutely, my brother.
Check him out. He's the man, brother. Thank you for your time.
And thank you, bro.